So the Senate has been having hearings on Section 230 and specifically Trump's executive order. Are you familiar with this, Jen?
Is this the wait? This is the communications of what? Wait a minute. This has
Yeah.
something to do with the communications.
Yes,
right?
yes, it does. So,
Okay.
so Section 230 is a section that basically it kind of guarantees. I mean, it basically kind of helps frame the internet as we know it, because it says that different websites aren't liable for things that users post when they allow users to post content on websites.
Okay.
That websites aren't
Sure.
liable for that. So Trump had an executive order basically blowing a hole through that. The reason he did that was because you have places like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube censoring. They're censoring people. They're deciding what is and isn't news, deciding what is and isn't speech, which is a problem. That's definitely a problem. I'm not for that. I think we have to make these public utilities, to better oversee the free speech laws in the United States. I think that a data programmer on Facebook isn't a free speech attorney. They have no right deciding what people should and shouldn't see. And Facebook and Twitter, they've become modern day town squares. So you have to orchestrate that better. And we're in a weird position where technology has passed up the law. We don't have the right laws yet because technology has passed up the law. That's just the situation we're in. Trump's idea was to make a bad law, because here's what gutting Section 230 does. What it does is it takes that authoritarianism that we're complaining about from Facebook and Twitter, and it puts it into the hands of some FCC bureaucrats. Furthermore, it's going to lead to more censorship, not less, because guess what? The folks at the Mark Zuckerbergs, that Jack Dorsey or whatever his name is, they don't give a hoot about free speech. They don't give a hoot about the exchange of ideas and information. No. All they care about is the bottom line. So if they're going to be worried about lawsuits from the government all the time, they're just going to censor everything. They're just going to censor political speech as much as they feel they have to.
Yeah.
And look at what has happened since this executive order happened. A bunch of YouTube channels on the left and on the right too, across the political spectrum, have been deleted. I can't monetize my streams anymore. I've lost the ability to monetize my streams. Other channels have gotten strikes. Other channels have nearly gotten taken down. So this whole thing has led to more censorship, not less. It's basically like saying, hey, a person has a broken arm. I know what to do. Let's set them on fire. That'll fix the broken arm. That's essentially what this executive order is. They've had hearings on this where time and time again, members of the Senate just demonstrate they have no clue what the hell is going on. And that happened again today. This is from Wired. So here's some of the highlights from Wired. This is actually the headline. The headline from Wired: the Senate Section 230 discourse somehow keeps getting dumber. That's all right. So as you no doubt recall, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996 is the law that shields interactive computer services from being legally liable. So let's see here. The main line of attack on Section 230 from Senate Republicans today was that Twitter and Facebook are no longer mere neutral platforms, but rather act as publishers. That's a valid point, but they're missing the mark with this, making editorial decisions about what content to add to their platforms. Senator Ted Cruz badgered Dorsey about Twitter's decision to add labels, pushing back against claims of voter fraud. You're a publisher when you're doing that, he barked. You're entitled to take a policy position, but you don't get to pretend you're not a publisher and get a special benefit under 230 as a result. Here's what the article says about that. Cruz is simply mischaracterizing how Section 230 works. The law protects any interactive website from being sued over content posted by users, whether it's Facebook posts or comments at the bottom of a Washington Post article. It doesn't necessarily matter that the company is a publisher or not. So they don't really understand what this thing does. They're just angry about social media companies making editorial calls, which I understand the problem there. I'm all about the problem. They don't understand the solution they're proposing and how it's not a solution at all. It will actually make things worse. And these are the folks in charge.
That's not very promising, is it?
No, I mean, and it's just one of those things. And I realize it's a very odd time to be participating in this fear because we are at a time where, again, the law has not caught up with technology. But here's some better fixes for this situation. First of all, antitrust legislation that breaks up some of these big tech companies, making them operate as public utilities, where the free speech laws of the United States have to be practiced and enforced. Here's another thing. These companies could do this on their own. There is nothing stopping Twitter or Facebook or YouTube from saying, hey, look, we understand that we're like the modern day town squares now. And we've reached this, juggernaut behemoth level of where people engage in discourse. And with that comes a responsibility. So we are hiring free speech professionals, attorneys, scholars, and they are going to serve as a board. And they're going to kind of make sure that the free speech laws of the United States are being upheld on our platforms. They could do that. No, they could do that. The government could even recommend that they do that to put a little fire under their feet. There's no law prohibiting them from doing that. But they're not even talking about that. Why? Because, first of all, they have so many people that miss the mark, that misinterpret what's really going on. Because these are elected officials that in the digital rights sphere, they have no freaking clue what's going on. And by the way, got it best on digital rights as far as the 2020 crop of candidates is concerned? Bernie Sanders, the 80-year-old. Why do you think that was? Do you think it's because Bernie spends 10 hours a day on Reddit? I highly doubt it. I think it's because Bernie surrounded himself with people who are better on these issues, and he freaking listened to them. It's not rocket science. I mean, if we had more officials who listened to places like the ACLU, like Fight for the Future, like Free Press, like all the digital rights organizations in this country, maybe, just maybe, they could go to a hearing and have a clue what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, they don't want to listen to anything because then you'd actually have to do something. It's so much easier just to keep serving platitude sandwiches to all of us. But, I've always found that interesting in my entire life with every policy, with everything that's ever done, wherein they don't consult the experts in that particular field, whatever it is. Or even when you see somebody being appointed to a cabinet position that has had like Ben Carson, to HUD, like why are we doing that? Why are we purposefully not surrounding ourselves with the experts to make things better? And people really should wonder that. I mean, it speaks a lot about a person who they surround themselves with. And we're seeing that with Joe Biden right now, lifetime, who he's going to be surrounding himself with. And I think that is all the information that you need about somebody.
Where did he start his campaign? A Comcast executives dinner. And who's he courting right now? Oil lobbyists, weapons manufacturers, folks who got it wrong on climate change, folks who were terrible on immigration during the Obama years and wanted to repeat that.
Pro-war hawk, all the war hawks.
Pro-war. Yep. We're seeing it happen in real time. Well, and then getting it back to this and an even bigger picture here, there is this weird, I think weird's putting it gently. There is this toxic trend in the United States where we entertain this notion that sometimes a bad situation can be fixed or somehow alleviated with bad policy. Then, and it doesn't work that way. Shitty policy doesn't help a shitty situation. In most cases, it makes it worse. That's just the way the world works. But someone profits. And then when people realize something is shitty, they shame you for saying, well, you should have accepted that smaller shit sandwich. What's wrong with you? I mean, we can look at healthcare. The ACA is shitty. The ACA sucks. It's Mitt Romney's healthcare plan. It's not a good healthcare plan. Where can we look for a better healthcare plan? Gee, I don't know. Every other industrialized nation in the fucking world. Yeah. Let's start there. Every other industrialized nation in the world who figured this out. And for some reason, we can't here in the United States. But instead of going that route, Republicans came up with the idea of like, well, hey, you don't like Mitt Romney's healthcare plan. I guess we have to go even worse now. We're going to come up with a healthcare plan that takes healthcare away from more people. They came up with an anti-healthcare plan in a true Orwellian war is peace moment they came out with the AHCA that took healthcare away from millions more people. So then you, the pleb, were told, hey, you should have just shut up about the ACA, because otherwise we get the anti-healthcare plan. You have to choose between a plan that is the opposite of healthcare or a really shitty healthcare plan. And you should be thankful for that shitty healthcare plan, because we live in a society where we take shitty situations and try to solve them with shittier policy. And if you call out that game, you're the problem.
Of course you're the problem. But it's funny because and yet people fail to mention that, look, when Obama had a majority, he didn't even fight for the public option of the crappy healthcare plan that we got then. And that was under a Democratic Congress, a Democratic president. And so it's just so interesting that now they're bringing this back full circle, and they're really repackaging like a ball of shit and presenting it to us like we should be so thankful that they're saving us from the horrible Republican healthcare plan.
It's unreal.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your